Let me see something real quick. Okay. Now, oh boy. Do I want to change the names of these? Guess I probably could. Just gonna. No, I'll leave it as S, A, B, whatever. It's fine. Oops. Is audio going through? I didn't do any testing or anything. I don't even know if there's anybody there. I see numbers. I see things. There might be one or two of these that I don't fully remember. Audio's good. Okay, we good. Alright. Now, big challenge is, do I want to make two separate things? Like, I can because this is going to be very hard when it comes to differentiating between the comedy and the serious arcs. And it's going to be weird when I have to put a comedy arc in the same tier as something like Shogun Assassination, wherever it is, right here. I don't know if I should make a second one, or if I should make like two S's, one for serious and one for comedy, or if I should just make it harder on myself and try to determine if I think some of the comedy arcs are anywhere near as good as the serious ones. But I feel like that's going to be such a pain. It's going to be very difficult. I can try. Take the hard path. Okay, sure. I'm not gonna start. No, I'm not gonna start with you. Let's start with one that I hate. Let's start with the mother arc. I don't remember this arc. I all I remember is I thought the mother was disgusting to look at. I didn't think any of the jokes were funny. Well, there were a couple that were okay, I guess. The slight plot twist thing at the end of the arc was entertaining, but as a whole, I thought this one was kind of ass. I'm gonna put it in D. I don't like this one. This one's forgettable. I feel like this is one of the arcs where people say like the beginning of this series is slow, and I think this is like one of the perfect embodiments of that, because I did not very much enjoy it. Do I want to go in order of this? I guess I can. I wanted to get Mother out of the way. The Owe arc. It's either A or B. The Dragon Quest shit was pretty good. I like the entire commentary on. I like the entire commentary on like console launches. The Puke Tetris was great. Kondo spamming the shit out of the button to press I guess poke nipples. That was pretty good. I don't remember the girl's name. Comic Quest Easy. No. Tama Quest is bottom tier. It's probably like C. You know what? This is similar to Tama Quest. Where is Tama Quest? Uh, bu- 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 it's right here. I just saw it. There you are. These are very similar. I could just do these around the same. But just because it's based on Dragon Quest does not mean that it's that good of an arc. It's very okay. In the grand scheme of things, are you gonna say Tama Quest is S tier just because it has Dragon Quest references when you know things like, I don't know, Courtesan of a Nation deserve S tier? You think that's along the same tier as Courtesan of a Nation? Or if we're gonna go with some of the best comedy arcs, what's one of the better comedy arcs? Fucking Hasegawa Prosecution? It's not on the same tier. It's nowhere near as good. I like it. I still think it's great, but it's not on that level. OA is gonna go in A. There's so many funny moments in this arc. Katsura and Elizabeth being dressed as Mario and Luigi. Put your bias aside. This is objective. We're not saying Tama Quest is an S tier arc just because it's Dragon Quest. Anyways, this one is great. I think it should be an A. This one I come back to a lot as far as comedy arcs. Tama Quest, I'm probably going to put in C. There are some good jokes in Tama Quest, but I didn't really think it was that great. For a comedy arc, I feel like there wasn't enough jokes in the ones that they do. Or the ones that they used, I think they kind of just do to death. There's not enough originality in some of the jokes in Tama Quest. I love when Tama transitions between the different polygons, or when she just degrades in graphics as she becomes more and more infected. But other than that, it's okay. It's not bad. It's better than Mother. The Mother arc was... God, I hate the Mother arc. Shinsengumi Crisis. The first actual serious arc, huh? What's his name? Ito? I think that he was one of the best, villains just in general. I think I like him more than, What are you saying bruh to? What are you saying bruh to? This isn't where I'm putting it. I'm just trying to reason where I want to put it. God, what's his name, though? Shut up. Why can't I remember his name? Hold on, I need to look something up real quick. Hosen? Hosen. That was his name. God, I don't know why I can remember that. I think Ito is a better villain than Hosen. I think that his struggles that he was going through are more relatable, and it was better written overall. That doesn't mean I don't like Hosen, but I think Ito is better as a villain. I think he's one of the better villains just in the series in general. I think Toshi, when he gets his curse sword, is some of the it's some of the stupidest shit in this series, but I love it so much. It's probably an A. Sogo's moment on the train, Kondo and Toshi's interactions with each other throughout the arc are great. I love the way the odd jobs or Yorosia are utilized in this arc. They're not really a main focus, which is... I think that was the first time in this series where they weren't the main focus. Was it? No, maybe not. I think Okita Mitsuba was before it. Anyways, I think it goes in A. I think that's fine. Guardian Dog. I'm not gonna lie. I think I like it more than Tama Quest. Not A tier. It's only like a 2-episode arc, but I thought the Guardian Dog arc was really compelling, especially in these just the way it was developed and the storytelling aspect of it. It was pretty damn tragic. I mean, it didn't get me emotional or anything, but just the darkness of the story itself was really tragic. It, I think the development was really good, especially for the Yakuza. Were they Yakuza? I think they were Yakuza. Like the dad, and I don't remember his name, but I don't remember his name, but I think that his relationship with both the son and the dad was great. Um, the reasons for the actions that he did was great. Yeah, I think I like it more than Tama Quest. I don't like it as much as these two, but I do like it more than Tama Quest. Ryugujo? Probably. Mm, I'm gonna try to do this in. No, I'm not gonna try to do these in order. If I try doing these in order, that'd be awful when I start getting to the comedy and serious arcs being in the same tier. So I'm just gonna put these in the same tier. Yeah, I love the episode where they all end up on the island and they all find each other doing the most embarrassing shit, like Shinpachi and Hasegawa running through the beach naked. Gintoki trying to fire off a Kamehameha. I don't remember what Katsura was doing. I think he was trying to do a mix of everybody's bullshit. I don't remember what the others were doing, like as far as Kyubei and Tai. But I think the beginning of the arc is a lot more interesting than the rest of it. I like the first like episode or two of it, but I think it drags on a little too much. There's still some really funny moments though, like the scouter stuff that happens where they start figuring out each other's power levels. Gintoki and Katsura as old men is really great, but I didn't really like. I don't remember her name. I don't the queen something Hime, but I don't remember what it is. I thought she was an okay villain, but the reason she did everything was compelling in a way. With the one guy, Otohime, yeah. Oh, maybe I do like it more than Tama Quest because the overall message that it sends about aging and coming to terms with aging. Yeah, yeah, because it does provide a lot of like insight on the process of aging. I say insight, but it's more just commentary on aging and how people can cope with it or deal with it. Um, yeah, I think it's okay if it didn't be. I like it more than I like it more than Tama Quest. Monkey Hunter. I mean, it has the moment where Gintoki makes love to a spaceship. It has the Bongia blues when he's driving a truck. But other than that, I don't know. It had some good moments, but nothing too outstanding, I don't think. Unless you guys remember something that I don't with this arc. I thought it was okay. It's still better than a lot of arcs and a lot of other series, but it was okay. Hasegawa Prosecution is going straight into S. This was one of the first times in the entire series where I damn near pissed myself laughing. Um, the callback to like 2 episodes prior with Gintoki's peeking on a girl dressing in her apartment. The whole porn watching in the middle of the jury or in the middle of the proceedings. Everybody thinking Hasegawa is actually a predator or a sexual molester or deviant, even though they know that he wouldn't do something like that. The fact that they consider a special move from Kinukuman a sexual molestation technique, everything about this one is incredible. I think it's one of the funniest arcs. I don't understand like the Heidi references, but I don't think you really need to. I don't think it's absolutely detrimental to enjoy the arc if you don't understand the Heidi references, because I sure as hell didn't know them. I'm comfortable putting an S. I think that's an S tier arc. They are still funny. They're still complete nonsense and complete BS. So not understanding them is still great because it just makes you even more confused. Correspondence. I'm probably gonna put it in A. I One of my favorite quotes in the entire series is Kondo trying to help Shinpachi write a letter, and he just writes that whenever he thinks of his sister, he gets turned on. The Gintoki one is also great, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. I know he talks about how he wishes that her sister starts feeling better, and and then he starts talking about when she's gonna spread his legs for him. But I don't remember or exactly why. I don't remember the full quote. And then the whole thing is super comedic up until like the last 5 minutes of the arc, and then it deals with depression and suicide, and and it just doesn't feel like the same arc. But I feel like it handles it in such a good way. Oh, then there's Sogo taming one of the sisters and making her his dog, essentially. Yeah, I like this one. I think it's A. Oh boy. This is only 2 episodes. It's only 2 episodes. Can I just... This is going to be like the only one that's actually ranked. This one is so close to S tier. Because it's only 2 episodes. You don't know anything about this old man. You don't know anything about this dog up until this arc. Nothing about them. But every single time I watch this arc, it brings me to tears. Every single time. There is not... I have watched it, I think, like 4 or 5 times. Like I said, it's only 2 episodes. It's an easy watch. Every single time, it brings me to tears. And it amazes me that it does that. Because we don't know these characters. The only ones that we know that are even relevant in this arc are Katsura and Kagura. They're like the only two. And it's so reliant on building these two characters together with Kintaro and the old man. It's such a good art. It's such a good representation of the bonding that people have with their pets and dealing with the death of loved ones. It's so good. Ghost Ryokan. Probably Gintoki's singing is beautiful. It's one of the highlights of the arc for me. And then the I don't remember his name, but the one who has a gun and he just shows up out of nowhere constantly and just shoots shit. He's great, but other than that, this is like a 4 or 5 episode arc, and I don't think there's enough highlights in the arc in order to justify it being higher than C. Gintoki singing, the dude who shoots shit randomly. There's the JoJo references. But other than that, Matsudaira. No, Ed Boy, Matsudaira has nothing to do with this arc. This is when they go to the Ghost Inn. It was one of the ghosts. I think he had an English name. I don't remember. But it was one of the ghosts. Like, he came out of Gintoki's body at one point and shot the final boss of the arc and then finished everything. Yeah, it's pretty good, but I wouldn't say it's better than C. Yoshiwara in Flames. Mm, I'm gonna try my best not to put all of the serious arcs in S tier. Do I think Yoshiwara and Flames is on the same tier as like Four Divas? What else was there? Four Divas, Core Nation, Rakio Decisive Battle, Favorite. Okay, what I mean, no offense, but what about the Kagura scene? I I love it. It's a really cool scene, but it's also like a very stereotypical shonen, like anger, super powered up scene. It's great. I love it, but I don't think it was necessarily a defining moment in the arc. I mean, the consequences of that scene are great for the rest of the story because Kagura lost control of herself and she wanted to better herself so that she couldn't hurt her friends or hurt anybody without her being in control, and she didn't want to lose to her Yato blood. That is fantastic. Um, the whole Kamui thing, like when he fights Hosen, um, it's S tier. Um, what's his name? What's the kid's name? I forget the kid's name, but him and the relationship with his mom during this arc. I don't know why I'm blanking so much today. I didn't get that much sleep. Um, the, uh, oh yeah, it's Seita. Yeah. Seita and his mom, their reaction. I mean, their interactions are great. Um, yeah, it's probably S tier. I don't know if I'll change my mind or not. We'll see. Memory loss, probably B. This is one of the first times in the series where you could start seeing where things would get somewhat serious. We get the introduction of the Justaways. You can see Gintoki, Kagura, and Shinpachi's relationship as they get scared that they won't be able to keep living with Gintoki as he loses his memory. I don't remember there being a whole lot of a whole lot of jokes in this arc. I remember a lot of the sentimentality of it. Um, there might be a lot of good jokes, but it's been a while since I've watched this one, so I don't remember. But I do remember all of the key moments, and I really liked it. Shinsengumi Death Game, probably D. I appreciate that it's a Jigsaw parody, and I really enjoy some of the jokes, but I don't think it should be 2 episodes long. I think it kind of goes on for too long. Um, Toshi and Sogo, even though they're two of my favorite characters, I don't really. In this situation that they're in, I don't think that they were able to carry an entire 2 episodes. I think it would have been better as a 1 episode thing. It was enjoyable. I still liked it, but I don't think it was all that great. Barber, probably A tier. Uh, anything with the Shogun is top tier. Them putting dog shit on his head, having to deal with the fact that Kondo, Katsura, and the Shogun were in the barbershop. All the stupid BS that goes on during the barbershop arc. There's no way that I can justify this one without just telling somebody to watch it because it's so bizarre, so nonsensical. It's something that you really have to just watch. Otsu. I mean, Takatin kind of carries this arc. I'm gonna put it at the top of B. I don't want A to get overcrowded. Um, time is money. No, I have to put it in. It's a very long arc, though. It's like 8 episodes, I think, and I'm basically only remembering the best parts of it. like Takatin, um, when they have to come up with scenarios with Otsu, like asking her on a date. All those were great, but it's also a very, very long arc, and because I'm only remembering the best parts of it, there was also a lot of parts that I don't remember as well because it's just so long. There's a lot of things that aren't as memorable about it. Uh, alright. I'll put Red Spider in A. I don't think Red Spider's as good as the other serious arcs. It has some of the best animation in the first like 200 episodes. The animation of Gintoki versus Jiraiya is easily some of the best like animation in general in the just the first 200 episodes. Maybe in the whole series. The art direction was great with the black and white art style, or not art style, but the coloring. Um, I think this is also the first time we start getting some backstory of Gintoki, specifically because it focuses on the mentorship between Tsukuyo and Jiraiya, and that kind of just parallels with Gintoki and Shoyo. So I think that's really good. But other than that, I feel like there might have been too many fights. Something I like about Gintama arcs, or something I really like just about Gintama in general, is it's not reliant on fights in order to carry a compelling story. There's a lot of commentary that goes on. That there's a lot of just messaging in general that goes on through the dialogue and the plot and all of the interconnecting stories that go on through the arcs. But I think Red Spider was mostly just a lot of fighting, and besides like the ending of it, when you start getting more of the story behind what Jiraiya's actions are, behind Tsukuyo, behind Gintoki and Shoyo, I just felt like there's too many fights. I don't think it's as good as Yoshiwara and Flames. I think it's the weakest of the Yoshiwara trio. Character poll, S tier. Um, I'm not going to be able to justify or explain why it's S tier, because that's just another one that you have to see to believe, because there's just nothing like it in anime. It's an entire damn arc about popularity poll results and our cast of characters not being able to come to terms with what their results are. And it's just one of the funniest arcs in the series. I think it's like 3 episodes long. There's some good Fist of the North Star references in it. Um, there's a lot of good in it, and I don't want to talk about it too much in case of ruining it. If anybody ever watches this VOD or stream and they haven't gotten to that part yet. Rokaku is gonna go in C. I don't think it's a bad arc. I think it does a really good job of exploring Sogo's personality and his morality. Um, but I, unless like Sogo is your absolute favorite character of all time, I don't know if this one will really be the most compelling. I still really enjoyed it. I'll probably put it at the top of C. But I don't know. It doesn't stick out to me as much as the arcs above it up here. Whenever I'm thinking of like, whenever I want to rewatch any kind of like short arc, this is like never one of the ones that come to the top of my mind. I don't think there's like any comedy in it really. I remember Kagura puking and saving the day because of the the huge amount of puke that she produces. But other than that, I don't remember there being too much comedy, and I don't think the story was compelling enough for it to be a mostly serious arc. So I think I'm fine with it being in C. Kabukicho Stray Cat, probably top of B. The gorilla thing is one of my favorite moments as far as comedy for Kondo. Just the fact that he actually becomes a gorilla, and the specific gorilla that he becomes, the scientific name is gorilla. The Mayo scene where Toshi teases Gintoki, Katsura, and Kondo with mayonnaise as if he actually wants them. The most critical edit makes it funnier. I mean, yeah, but it's still pretty funny just in general when he whips his monkey cock out and fights with it. Because it's got the whole lightsaber sound effect going on. There's a lot of good moments in this. I think it's probably closer to A than it is to B, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to overcrowd A. But I think it's really good. I like this one. Diviner. Diviner's also probably B. I think the conflict between the two warring families going on in Diviner is interesting. We have Pandemonium-san with Shinpachi, and one of the only times we see Shinpachi not be the straight man. Then we have Gintoki losing his testicles, and then his testicles get used in a magic war or a magic fight, and they just start getting crushed. Geto Maru actually crushing his testicles with a hammer. There's a lot of good moments in this arc. But I don't think the overall plot or the character moments in the arc that weren't from the Yorozio and Geto Maru, I don't think that they were strong enough to put it in A tier. I think the jokes were great. I think there was a lot of great moments, but I don't think I wasn't as invested emotionally as I was in like Correspondence, Shinsengumi Crisis, Red Spider, or Kintaro. Because I feel like Diviner isn't necessarily a full comedy arc. It's kind of in the middle. Kind of like Correspondence. And I guess Correspondence is the one that's closer to it. The Santa arc is going in A tier. I love this arc. I love the fact that Gintoki and Umibozu both try to be there for Kagura as their dad and try to be Santa for her. And then just a bunch of random crazy shit just goes down. It's it's nonsensical, but just everything that goes down because everybody's trying to be Santas for different reasons. I won't go into why, other than Gintoki and Umibozu, but just the way that they try to do it all for Kagura is great, and it was heartwarming, and it's hilarious, especially when Sachan becomes Santa and tries to do her thing. This one I love. It's one of my personal favorites, even though I don't think it's as beloved by the majority of the fan base. Umibozu arc, I don't remember it too much. I'll put it in C, probably below Rokaku. I remember liking it. I remember enjoying watching it, but I don't remember enough about it to justify putting it any higher. I remember him trying to take Kagura, and I remember the episode after this arc happens when Kagura tries to trick everybody into thinking that she left, and Gintoki has to deal with his swollen penis from peeing on the giant worm, and then all the female characters are holding a competition in order to try to become the next heroine of the series now that Kagura is gone. I don't consider that part of this arc. That was just the aftermath of it. The arc itself, I don't remember too well, so I'm just going to keep it in C. Time Skip is easy S tier as far as comedy arcs. This is probably my second favorite comedy arc. I love the parodies of time skips because time skips are so overdone in shonen manga, and this complete parody of time skips in general is just one of my favorites. I don't know why Gintoki becomes Yamcha. I remember Kagura keeps doing the shit that Goku did to Nappa when she like teleports on top of Shinpachi's head and just stands there. The whole thing with Shinpachi and Kyubey, I'm not even gonna say what it was because that would ruin my favorite jokes of the entire time skip. But this arc is easily one of the funniest arcs in the series. It's probably better than Character Pull and Pascal Prosecution. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? When I have things going into S tier as far as serious and comedy arcs, I'm going to order them, but I'm not going to order them in terms, like, as overall. I'm going to order them in terms of comedy and serious. So I'll do serious first and then comedy. That way I can order it without trying to put comedy above serious because they go for two different things. Glasses arc is C tier. It's okay. Um, I think one of the best moments is when Gintoki and Shinpachi are sent to Don Quixote to get hemorrhoid cream for um, Zenzo. But other than that, I think he's not out of character, but I think he's a little bit more harsh towards Sachan than he usually is, and it kind of threw me off. Um, I think he treats her a little too bad in this one. It was a little off-putting. And then she has this weird, like, mecha transformation at the end with her new glasses. That part, I mean, it's funny, but it's also just very strange. And I don't remember why she didn't keep those glasses. I don't remember. I don't think the glasses that were doing all the transforming were like the one with the mustache and everything, right? They weren't the broken ones. I don't remember. But it was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't Shinsengumi Death Game or Mother. This is going S tier. Um, this is just one of the best like arcs just in general, like in anime period. The moment with Gintoki at the graveyard. I'm not gonna say what the hell's going on in that graveyard. Um, but that is one of the best episodes of any show ever. Um, when Gintoki tries to not leave everybody behind, but when he tries to take things into his own hands to protect everybody, and when Shinpachi and everybody shows up, and Shinpachi punches him into the wall, and they finally knock some sense into him as to why he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. I think that's incredible. I love Jirocho. I love Pirako. I love the conflict that's going on between them. And the final scene of this arc with Jirocho and Pirako in the flower field is one of my favorite scenes in the entire series. Every single time makes me tear up, especially when ending 17 starts playing. It's just one of the best arcs ever. I can't justify it enough. Jugum, probably C tier. I feel like I mean it. I enjoyed I enjoyed the interactions with Kyubey and Jugum, especially when they had to be separated. But other than that, I think the name got overdone. I know that was the point, but it started to lose its appeal a little bit after the like fifth or sixth time they say out his entire name, and it takes like 30-40 seconds to do it every single time. So I'll put it in C. It wasn't bad, but jail. This one Gintoki goes to jail, right? Yeah, it is. Probably top of B. Mostly because of the story between the old man and the warden. Gintoki has some great moments in it, but when you start finding out what's going on between the warden and the old man, it gets emotional really fast. It's definitely one of the. It's a really good art. Love. I think it's chorus. I don't think it's chorus. I think it's chorus. I'll also put this one in B. This one has some pretty funny moments. Um, I don't want to. I don't want to go into any of the best moments of this arc because that would ruin a lot of the jokes. But I think I do think that this does a really good job of making fun of all of the like shut-in stereotypes that do nothing but play a dating sims. Um, I think it does such a good job parodying that, and there's a lot of good moments in there. That's hilarious. Renho, B. I'll put Brenho in B. The o- there's some great stuff in here, like Cayenne unloading way too quickly, and he shoots a shot too fast. Um, the Gundam references are great. The Star Wars references are great. I know that the female Renho is a parody of a Lupin the Third character, but that didn't really enhance anything for me. But the only reason why this isn't an A tier, and I guess it shouldn't be that big of an issue for me because it's Gintama and I should expect things like this. But the big plot twist at the end, I wish didn't happen. I'm not going to spoil what it is, but if you've seen it, you know. I wish it didn't happen because it took one of the best moments for Katsura, one of the most heart wrenching, and one of the best character development moments ever for Katsura, and it kind of makes it worthless. Like it, what he says is still great, but it lacks impact after you find out what the twist of the arc is, and that's kind of why I'm just gonna leave it in B. Vacation. I'm gonna put it. It's my favorite comedy arc. Vacation's my favorite comedy arc by far. The penile break. All the stuff that goes on with the Shogun. Like everything about this arc. I don't think that there was a single part of. There wasn't a single moment of this arc where I wasn't laughing. Everything about it was great. I don't think there's pretty much no serious there's no serious parts of it. It's pretty much all comedy, and that's fine. Because when all the jokes hit as often as they do in the vacation arc, it just makes it that much better. So I don't mind that there's no deeper meaning or there's no plot development or plot relevance. This is just one of the funniest arcs, and it's such a joy to watch. Scandal. I think that also goes an S. Does it? I think so. I think Scandal goes an S. Just everybody tricking Gintoki into believing that he had sex with them, and then he has to own up and become a man of the house for every one of the females besides Kagura. I think they cover all of the main females. They Otose, Sachan, Tsukuyo, Kyubei, Tae. It's great, and I love that Hasegawa's thrown in there, but there's it has its own twist with Hasegawa that I'm not gonna get into. But there's a lot of funny moments in this arc. I love the movie theater scene also. That one's great. The host club arc, probably A tier. Gorilla, what was it? Was it Harley Gorillison? I think is what they called it when Kondo becomes a motorcycle thing that Gintoki rides. But this one had a lot of good moments in it, both serious and comedic. It also has one of my favorite episode titles. I think the title is Women Love Vegeta, but Men Love Piccolo, something like that. It could be the other way around, but I know it's something along those lines. And when they just discuss Vegeta and Piccolo during the arc is great. This one's great. I don't remember Infant Strife too much. I mean, I know that Gintoki gets the baby that looks like him. It's the arc that introduces Nizo the Butcher. And then you find out the thing with the baby's mom and the dad. And it was pretty good. It wasn't bad, but I'll put it in C. Mostly because I don't remember all of the ins and outs of it. Now, I'll be honest, I don't remember anything at all about the Go Ninja arc. Aside from when they infiltrate the, temple thing and fight the other ninjas. Other than that, I don't remember this arc. So I'm just going to put it in C. because I feel like if I disliked it, I would remember why I disliked it, like Shitsugumi Death Game and Mother. But it also doesn't stand out enough to me, so I'm just gonna put the bottom of C. Thorny. I think this is gonna be yeah, this is gonna be the first like big serious arc that I'm gonna put in B tier. That I feel like that might be controversial, but I don't know. I think there was some good moments. I don't think this was a good arc for Isaburo to be introduced in, because we see him become more human, like humanized, and we understand him more and more, and more as the show goes on. But this arc just makes him an irredeemable asshole, and you just don't really understand what his goal is or what he's even doing. And I think I don't know anything about the writing of the series, but I think Srirachi probably wanted to make Isaburo a better character after this arc, because he doesn't really have a whole lot going on with him besides like his emails. Tetsu I think was a good character. His growing relationship with Toshi was great. The backstory with Toshi is great. Getting to actually know what was going on with him as a character. But other than that, I don't know. It was okay. I think this was also the arc where everybody finds out that Gintoki's the White Yasha, but I don't know. Gintama. Gintama is probably an S tier, probably right after Four Divas. I like it more than Yoshiwara and Flames. I love the struggle between Gintoki as he tries to understand, or not understand, but has to be faced with this impossible situation where he's no longer the main character. Nobody knows who he is besides two people. I won't say who. And it goes into this big, beautiful message about how even when, like, you can't be perfect, but not so much that you can't be perfect, it's that it's the imperfections in everybody that is what makes us, like, wonderful. Um, it goes into a lot of how Gintoki is he's a bad person. Not so much like that he's evil, but he has a lot of faults and a lot of flaws within him. Like being an alcoholic, he doesn't want to do a lot. He's rude to people. Like there's a lot of faults with Gintoki, but that's what draws people to him. They are fresh. They get frustrated with him, and they don't like the things that he does sometimes, but they still love him as a person. And being able to just show that in the way that Gintama does, I think is really profound. And I think the kind of what would be the best word, the contrast between Gintoki and Kintoki, and what Kintoki believed would be the ideal person, was extremely interesting. I love this arc, and it has like the weird like shoujo like anime opening thing, which is great. But everything about this one I love. Courtesan of a Nation. Yeah. Yeah. That I like Four Divas more, but Courtesan of a Nation is also just one of the best like anime arcs. Period. Um, I really don't want to go too deep into this one, because this is where the story, like the overall plot, really starts coming to a head. You start learning what's actually going on behind the scenes. You start learning more about Gintoki's past. You start learning more about Shoyo. You get a really, really heartfelt and heartbreaking story of one of the courtesans of Yoshiwara. We finally, this is the first time, I think this is the first time where the Shogun is not a complete joke. Other than, like, the first time he shows up, they make a big joke out of him, but he actually comes through at the end of this arc and becomes one of the coolest characters. And he just finally does something that you start realizing, okay, this is why he's the Shogun. It's not because he came into the power because of his name or because of his lineage. That is a part of it, but there's a reason why everybody follows behind him, and this arc finally shows why. There's so many other things that go on, and it's such a good arc. Beam sword style, or School of Beam Saber. That's also S tier. There's gonna be a lot of S. School of Beam Saber is fantastic in the fact that it is a huge milestone for Shinpachi as a character. I think this is one of the most defining arcs for Shinpachi. There's this battle, or not battle. There's this kind of like battle in his own mind about what he values more, and not so much of a brother, but as somebody he looks up to. And I wouldn't say what he values more, but there's this contrast between Gintoki and Hajime, and he has to come to terms with the fact that there's something wrong with Hajime now, and that Gintoki was the only one that was able to see it for a little bit, and just all of the drama and all the conflict that goes on is incredible for Shinpachi's development. I love the conflict between Gintoki and Shinpachi, as Gintoki does not want to tell Shinpachi what's going on because he doesn't want to hurt Shinpachi or break his heart. But everything about it, it's such a good way to see Shinpachi develop as a person and become more mature. And this is one of the arcs that made Shinpachi one of my favorite characters. He was already one of my favorites, but this like shot him into like number 3 spot. Because before that, it was like Gintoki, Kagura, and I think I had Katsura at number 3 for a while until School of Beam Saber. Either that or Otose. Frozen in Time, probably top of A tier. Right behind probably top of A tier. There's a lot of funny jokes in this one. I love the ones with Hasegawa and what's his name? The arc should be in here. Do they not have it? That's very weird. I think there's an arc missing. Oh well. Whatever. Oh, the Gengai. Yeah, Gengai. I know he had like his own 2-episode arc, and it's not in here. Oh well. But the episode with Hasegawa and Gengai in the Frozen Time arc is great. What goes on with Katsura and Elizabeth is hilarious. But this one is also one of those that I don't want to talk about too much. Joey 4 reunion, probably bottom of B. The Kirk on a basket references were great. We got, I wouldn't say backstory because it was all the flashbacks had to do with trying to remember who their fifth, like, and then the Gintoki scene, the Doraemon theme song was great. But other than that, I think it was just a really solid arc. It didn't really stand out too much. I don't think it's on the level of the ones that are up here, but it's still a really solid watch, and I really enjoyed it. Deko Boko, the good old gender swapping arc. This one is definitely great for Kyubei and developing Kyubei as she comes to terms with her sexuality and sexual not orientation, but just her gender identity. And I think that Gintama handles it in such a very smart and respectful way, dealing with what Kyubei is going through mentally. And there's a lot of jokes that they're either hit or miss, but I think most of them hit. I love Kondo when he gets gender swapped, what he turns into. I don't remember why, but I know he shits in an alleyway. But Gintama covers everything. It really does. It covers, like, it hits on, like, every societal issue, and I feel like it always does it in a pretty respectful way. I don't think, like, they make fun of everybody and everything, but I feel like nobody's ever singled out, and everything's done pretty respectfully. And this one, I think, handles it really, really well. There's some like feminist elements in it with Sukuyo and Sachan becoming men, and noting how even when they were female, they were still more useful than all of the men in the series. Which, I mean, to be fair, they are correct. A lot of the guys in this one are in Gintama are bumbling buffoons, but they still come through when they're needed. Which this show also makes sure it covers. Like, all of the guys, even though they make fun of them and they can be unreliable at times, they always come through in the end. So the show is respectful to pretty much everybody, I feel. There are some episodes I can see as people getting offended by, especially I think 111, like the first half of 111. But other than that, I think it handles a lot of things really well. Shinigami. Yeah, I'll go with A. This is the serious arc that happens right before things really go south, and this is when you start really seeing what the series is going to become. You start getting pieces as to what's going on in the grand scale of things with Nobunobu, with Takasugi, and what's going on with just everything in general before the main like 4 final arcs hit. I think Asaimon's like backstory and the things that lead to her development and growth and the way this arc ends is incredible. We see how Gintoki directly affected that family's lives with the, I think it was the dad of Asaimon and her brother. Either that or their grandpa, I forget. But there's so much interconnectedness of this arc that starts piecing together story elements. And it really pushes the series forward to a new serious direction. And I think that it's such a good stepping stone for that particular way of storytelling for this series. Confessional. That's S tier. Probably second. It's another Shogun comedy arc. I don't know what to say. It's more Shogun. The whole confessional thing is hilarious. The antics between the Shogun and Katsura are great. I'm not gonna say why there's any kind of antics going on with the Shogun and Katsura. I love that they develop a mutual respect for each other, even though Katsura still wants to take down the Bakufu. Even though he still wants to take down the Shogun and everything, like he still wants to take down the government, but he develops a sense of respect for the Shogunate. And I think that even though this is mostly a serious arc, it does a lot in the grand scheme of things of developing Katsura and the Shogun as characters. That way, later on in the series, things become more impactful when things get serious. Soul Switch. Probably top of B. I think the Soul Switch arc is pretty pretty good. I the cat thing is so damn gross though. It's just a giant muscular like 2D cat thing that comes to life. I think it's the cat that Gintoki's soul goes into a cat's asshole and it comes back to life and just starts running amok, and it's wild. Hasegawa becomes one with a piece of shit and just goes around as a pile of poop. The Soul Switch arc is great in terms of comedy, but I also don't think it has as much of an impact as the ones in A tier as far as development of things, character development. There's no like lasting effects of this arc. It's a really fun watch, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it offers too much in the series. But I still love it. It's still a great watch. Kaientai, this is probably top of A tier alongside Shinigami. We finally Sakamoto is such an underrepresented character in the series. I wish he was around more, because every time he's around, the episodes are always top tier. He's such a good character. And the Kaientai arc finally gives us insight onto his backstory, how he met Mutsu, their relationship together, and the kind of person that Sakamoto is in terms of being a businessman. Um, I really, really love this arc because it has like almost nothing to do with the rest of the main characters. There's barely any Gintoki. There's barely any of the Shinsengumi. There's barely any Kagura or Shinpachi. It's pretty much just the story of Sakamoto and Mutsu, and it's so good for just being those two characters, especially when they're not there very often, but it's still written in such a way that you're invested in knowing how these two got together and how they became partners and why Mutsu sticks around with Sakamoto even though he pisses her off constantly. It's so good. I think it's only like 2 or 3 episodes. Afro, probably B ish. Just a good Katsura arc. He invades the Shinsengumi or becomes a part of the Shinsengumi. I forget his name, but the Shinsengumi member with an afro is a really good character. I love the development that he goes through as he tries to become Katsura's captain, or not becomes, but how he tries to deal with being Katsura's captain. There's a lot of good moments between those two characters, and there's not a whole lot to say with this one. It's a very short arc. I think it's only 2 or 3 episodes. Um, but yeah, I think B is fine. Love Potion, probably bottom of B. I don't think the Love Potion arc has. A lot of this has to do with the fact that it's very hard to get your hands on the Love Potion arc to watch. It's not officially subtitled by anybody, so you have to read fan subs, and it's hard to fully enjoy the arc when there's so many like spelling errors, and I feel like translation errors, and it feels kind of wonky. But the overall comedy of the arc is great. I love the idea of the Love Potion arc. I think a lot of the jokes hit really well, but kind of like the same issue I had with like Soul Switch and like Joey for a Reunion. I feel like even though it's very funny, I don't think there's enough like development of the characters or development towards the overall arcing plot of the story, or any kind of development in any sense in order to put it any higher. But it's still Gintama. It's still fun to watch. It's still great. Feigned Illness, probably another B. Similar reasons for the other ones, similar to Love Potion. But I think this one is closer to an A tier because this one is also just funny the entire way through. Seeing Kagura have to reap the consequences of her actions of trying to fake an illness in order to get pity points, and then everybody thinks she's dead, and they hold this big funeral for her to try to like get her to finally. Or they don't even know. I think only Sogo knows, but just the inner turmoil that Kagura goes through of trying to determine whether she should just confess up, and figure out what she's doing, even though she's wronged everybody by trying to act like she's dying and sick. There's a lot of really, really fun moments. This, yeah. Yeah. I don't know what I can really say about Shogun Assassination Arc. At least not right now, and especially not scripted or non-scripted. If I sat down, I've been thinking about just sitting down and writing a script detailing why I love the Shogun Assassination so much, but I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. But this arc is probably the best arc I've ever seen of any show. This is where a lot of like Courtesan of a Nation, when I said that you start finally seeing why people love or why people respect and follow Shige as a shogun, it all comes to a head in the Shogun Assassination arc. The Gentoki versus Takasagi is probably my favorite fight ever. The emotional the emotional impact that it has on the story, figuring out why Takasugi is after Gintoki after all that they've been through as friends, why Takasugi wants to kill Gintoki, all of everything that happens is so beautifully done, and it's such an incredible story. There's so many ups and downs. Well, not, I don't mean downs as in quality of the arc, but there's so many things that happen where you think things are they're going well, and then next thing you know, things take a dark turn, and there's just so much flip flopping, and you never know how to feel. Like, you don't know. Like you get to a point where things seem like they're gonna be fine, things are gonna be safe, and then you can't feel safe because this arc just constantly slaps you in the face. Everything about it is incredible. The animation is great between Gintoki versus Takasugi. The fight is brutal. Um, I'm not gonna spoil how it ends, but the ending of this arc, I think, is one of the most hard hitting things I've ever seen in any entertainment, like, at all. Um, and I would love to explain why, but I'm not gonna do that unless I do like a full analysis of the arc itself. So for now, it's just gonna have to be said that this, I think, is the peak. Like, this is peak writing in terms of character development, story writing, and everything like that. Yeah, it's top of S tier. It's the best arc. You know what? What if? Oopsie, that's not what I wanted. What if I do? I'm gonna do this. This is very wild for me because Four Divas is also one of my favorite story arcs ever. But I think Shogun Assassination is so good that it's just a step above everything else. Farewell Shinsengumi. It's also, you know what? These two arcs have to be by themselves in a tier above. This is another arc that I can't say too much on, but this arc does so good by Kondo. It does so good by Isaburo. So good by Katsura. You finally get to start seeing some stuff between Nobunobu, like what's going on with him. Gentoki has one of my favorite moments in the entire series when they're in a bar with Nobunobu. I'm not going to say what it is, but that is one of my favorite moments. I love when Katsura and Kondo have to work together in order to just escape where they are. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say too much. But God, this arc is something else. There is a huge reveal at the end of it regarding who the big bad of the series is. And I wouldn't say it's so much surprising as it is emotionally impactful, especially for Gintoki. There's so much going on in this arc, and it's incredible. I love it. It definitely belongs in the highest tier with Shogun Assassination. Rakuyo Decisive Battle. That's also going to go in S. But it's going to go here. It's below Quarters of a Nation, but above Gintama. I love the fights between Gintoki, Takasugi, or not between, but I love the fights that involve like Gintoki, Takasugi, Katsura, and Sakamoto. I think they do a lot of really good development for all four of those characters in this arc. There's a lot of great stuff between Kamui and Umibozu. It's finally starting to get an understanding of why Kamui has so much hatred for both Kagura and his dad, Umibozu. The reasons behind what he does are so compelling because he was never able to grow out of his childish demeanor, because he never was able to experience a childhood because it was filled with hatred. And it's not hatred that feels forced or pushed to me. It's something that seems reasonable and understandable when you understand why Kamui, or when you find out why Kamui has such a grudge against his dad, and you find out what was going on between their family during this arc. This was also a very long arc. It's like 12 episodes, and I don't think there's like a single dull moment in this one. One of my favorite fights in this arc is when Katsura has a solo fight against one of the like big generals of the enemy army. Um, and some of the things that Katsura says are fantastic. I'm not gonna go into my favorite one because it kind of like it's a subversion of one of the longest running jokes of the entire series. But that subversion is one of the most badass and character defining moments in the entire series, especially for Kagura. Or not Kagura, Katsura. Kagura's boyfriend's going straight into D. I'm not going to talk much about Kagura's boyfriend. I'm just going to say that I hate this arc. There are very few episodes of Gintama that I dislike. Actually, there should be more considering it's 367 episodes. There should be less episodes that I dislike, or there should be more episodes that I dislike because of how many there are. But I hate the Kagura's boyfriend arc. Her boyfriend is disgusting. There are hardly any. I don't think there are hardly any funny moments in this arc. I think the best part of it is Gintoki and Umibozu working together to try to become, or are working together to be father figures to Kagura. But other than that, I can't think of any like redeeming aspects of this arc. Edboy, I need to know, what do you see in this arc? What do you see in the Kagura's boyfriend arc? Because I definitely don't see anything worthwhile in it. I don't like this one. While I wait for that, I'm gonna move on to Homeless arc. The Homeless arc, I think is probably a bottom A tier. You got nothing? Oh my god. Then why do you like it? Whatever. The Homeless arc. I think that this was a very good Katsura arc, especially with Ikamatsu. It finally gives some context and backstory to this old man that you always see with Hasegawa. You always see this weird old man who's just as homeless as Hasegawa, and he's there almost not every episode, but he's there a lot. And we finally get his backstory, and we finally understand like why he's the way he is, and it's really, really sad. I love Gintoki in this arc. I love Hasegawa. I love Katsura. I love Ikamatsu. This arc is great. It does really well by Katsura as a character development standpoint, and it does really well with Ikamatsu, especially because we don't see her too often in the series. So getting an arc like this was really, really nice. Excalibur, probably bottom of C tier. I think it's an okay arc. I think some of the highlights of it are just Gintoki getting his ass used as a scabbard. But other than that, that's kind of the majority of it. It's pretty much like a big Parasite parody. But I don't. I will. No, I'm gonna put it in B. I will say, this arc got me to feel some kind of emotions for a talking sword that tries to make Gintoki's butthole his home. And an arc that's able to make me feel for a living sword, it doesn't deserve C. It's probably B tier. There's some decent Berserk and Final Fantasy VII references in it also. This one is probably going to upset Boy. I'm going to put Benizakura in B tier. I think Benizakura is still a very good arc, but it's still the first serious arc. We start getting some pieces of what's going on with Takasugi. There's a really good fight between Gintoki and Nizo the Butcher. And then there's one of the best scenes in the series for me, which is when Gintoki and Tai like pass each other in the rain, with Banjo Blues playing. I think that's an incredible arc because I think it's a really nice way of Shinpachi's sister like kind of just passing the torch onto Gintoki in order to protect not only her brother but Kagura and just everybody in general. I think it's a really really nice moment, but other than that, I feel like it is a very very cookie cutter shonen battle arc. Um, I don't. I think it kind of lacks the like special nature of Gintama arcs that the top serious arcs have. This is very very generic shonen arc. It's still very good. I think it does it better than most shonen action series, but it's still pretty generic in what it's trying to do. But it still has really good moments. HTZ48 probably bottom of C tier. It does it in top of C tier. It does have one of my favorite comedy moments in the entire series with Takachin going through the different booths, like the different booths of the other idols. That scene always pretty much makes me piss myself laughing. It's so good, but the rest of it is just kind of okay. Um, there's one other comedy scene that I think is fantastic in it, and that's the one where Kagura is getting interviewed, and she makes it seem like Gintoki is like taking advantage of her because she's an idol, and then he gets like this whole pedophile allegation thrown onto him, and that was pretty funny. Other than that, it's kind of forgettable. Silver Soul. I see that it's split into Silver Soul and Silver Soul Aftermath. I think this is the anime portion, this is the movie. I'm just going to bundle them together. And I'm going to put them here. Put them after Court Examination. This is by far the longest arc in the series. It's basically like a big civil war. It's basically the end game of Gintama. Like, almost every character comes back to help fight in this intergalactic war. There's a lot of great serious moments. There's a lot, like I said, a lot of the major characters in past arcs and past episodes come back. It's really good in that aspect. There are some really good comedy episodes in it near like kind of like the midway point after the first war, and then between the movie. Other than that, I think it's great. Most of it is pretty. Alright, later, Patron. It won't go on too much longer. There's only 4 left. But Silver Soul is great. I think the ending of Silver Soul, like the movie. If I was just going off of the movie, I'm gonna keep these as one arc because I don't think it's fair to say Silver Soul and the movie are 2 different arcs. But if it was just the ending of this arc, I would probably say that this would be a double S tier. The things that go on with Takasugi and Shoyo are some of the best moments of the entire series for me. But there are some episodes in the beginning of the arc that I don't think are hit as hard. But there are some really, really great moments throughout this entire thing, which is why it's above Rockyo Decisive Battle. This arc also humanizes Nobunobu. It makes him one of my favorite characters in the entire series, and we get a lot of good Katsura, Nobunobu, and Sakamoto moments. The Fuyo arc, where Tama gets introduced. It's probably bottom of C tier, bottom of B tier. It's good. It has some good moments. I like the Rocky references. Tama is one of my favorite characters in the entire series, and I think this arc introduces her really well, and we get to see what her personality is like very well. We get to see how she's willing to sacrifice herself for the greater good. I think that the overall plot is very compelling with the doctor that created all of the maid robots. What he tried doing for his daughter. Yeah, I think it's a really really solid arc, but I don't think it's on the level of the A and S tiers. Yagyu, I'm gonna put you at the top of A. Kyubey is one of my favorite characters in Gintama. I love Kyubey, and I think the introduction of Kyubey is done like perfectly. I think the whole like gender identity issues going on with Kyubey are done very well, very respectfully. Um, the legendary toilet battle scene where Gintoki Kondo and then the grandpa and I forget his name from the Yagyu family, but when they're trying to all get paper like toilet paper, it's so good. It's such a good scene. One of my favorite comedy scenes, just in the series in general, is when Kagura steps on a or tries hiding a plate under her foot, and she steps on it and realizes what she's done and tries to cover it by acting like she stepped on a plate unknowingly and cut her foot open. That is such a good scene. There's a lot of really, really great moments in the Yagyu arc. Um, but no, I don't want to. I don't want to overflow S tier. I think Yagyu arc is probably like top of A tier, very, very close to S tier. Hardboiled Detective is going at the bottom of C. Top of C. I like the Hardboiled Detective as a character, but the first episode of this arc kind of bored me. But I think the second episode of the arc is much, much, much better. The conveyor belt scene is one of the funniest like scenes in early Gintama, and that kind of like really, really saves this arc for me. Just that one conveyor belt scene is incredible. It's just so much fun. It's so funny too. But I don't remember like the ins and outs of the arc too much to really talk about it too much. Okita Mitsuba. This is going right there. Right above Yoshiwara in Flames. This is one of the first like super serious arcs of Gintama. It's heartbreaking. It really goes into why Sogo hates Toshi. There's a lot of really compelling moments between those two. We see a side of Sogo that we never really see before in the entire series, and that's him actually being nice, actually being caring. The love that he shows for his sister, something that we don't really see in the entire series, other than his respect for Kondo. Toshi's conflict going on between in this arc is incredible. And even though Gintoki isn't really a major part of this arc, he's also like one of the biggest voices of reason for both Sogo and Toshi. And just his presence in this arc is really, really, really nice and really complimenting to what's going on. This is the first time this series ever made me like break down and tear up, and I don't think I could do this arc justice by putting it any lower than S tier. I think it's better than Yoshiwara and Flames, even just by a little bit. But I don't think it's better than these other ones. But this was still before we got any kind of plot for Gintama rolling, so I think it's good that it's here. I think the only arc they left out was the Gengai arc, which I'd probably put C or D. I don't really remember it too much, but that was the first time I think Takasagi got introduced. But other than that, I think that's everything, and I think I'm fine with everything here. Yeah, I think I'm good. I think that just about does it. Um, well, that I'll go over it one more time, or just kind of skim through it. But yeah, I think I'm content with the way I've ordered these. I stand by pretty much all of these decisions, and I'd like to say that besides these three arcs down here, I still think like even the C tier arcs in Gintama are better than like most other arcs in any other series. Like I would rather watch Tama Quest or Monkey Hunter or Umibozu or Rokaku. I'd rather watch those arcs over and over than watch a lot of Shonen Battle series arcs. Not all of them. There's still some that are like way better, like Soul Society in Bleach, or Marineford in One Piece, or the Pain arc in Naruto, or like Saiyan Saga and Dragon Ball. There's a big list of things that are like better than these, but I think for the most part, I enjoy these more than a lot of shonen series. But other than that, I think that's good. I finally got around to doing this. I'll get around to the opening and ending tier list eventually. Maybe sometime this week. We'll see. But other than that, thank you all for. Well, I say all, but there's only a few. But that's fine. But thank you guys for stopping by,